Your attitude determines your altitude. Jim Rohn, Introduction. This simple yet profound maxim encapsulates the idea that success, fulfillment, and personal growth rely less on external circumstances than on the internal lens through which we perceive and respond to those circumstances. This essay explores the origin, meaning, and implications of Jim Rohn's famous quote. We will delve into the life and philosophy of Jim Rohn himself, unpack the key concepts of attitude and altitude, examine the psychological and practical mechanisms by which mindset shapes outcomes, and highlight real-world applications across personal life, professional endeavors, and leadership, through illustrative stories, actionable strategies, and reflective questions. This text aims to guide you in harnessing the transformative power of a positive, growth-oriented attitude. Jim Rohn, the architect of personal philosophy. Rohn's style combined homespun anecdotes with rigorous principles drawn from philosophy, business, and personal experience. He pioneered the field of motivational speaking, influencing luminaries such as Tony Robbins, Mark Victor Hansen, and Brian Tracy. At the heart of Rohn's teachings lay the conviction that external success stems from internal transformation. His talks often centered on fundamental truths, discipline, responsibility, goal setting, but it was his memorable sayings like "you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with," and "don't wish it were easier, wish you were better," that cemented his legacy. Decoding the motto, Attitude and Altitude. 2.1. Defining attitude in the context of human behavior and psychology. Attitude refers to an individual's mental and emotional stance toward people, events, and ideas. It encompasses beliefs, feelings, and predispositions to act in certain ways. Attitude shapes perception to people facing the same challenge. May view it as an insurmountable obstacle or a valuable learning opportunity, depending on their mindset. Rohn emphasized that attitude is not innate but trainable. Just as one cultivates physical strength through exercise, so too can one develop a resilient, optimistic attitude through intentional practice. Affirmations, reframing negative thoughts, and immersing oneself in uplifting influences. 2.2. Understanding. Altitude. While attitude resides in the domain of mindset, altitude symbolizes outcomes, the level of success, achievement, and influence one attains. Altitude can be measured in tangible accomplishments, income titles, and awards, as well as intangible markers, confidence, resilience, and impact on others. Rohn's metaphor evokes flight. An airplane's altitude determines how far and how smoothly it travels. Similarly, one's personal altitude governs the scope of opportunities, quality of relationships, and ability to weather adversity. A positive attitude lifts us to greater heights. A negative one keeps us grounded, or worse, sends us into a nosedive. The psychological mechanisms, how attitude shapes. Altitude. 3.1. Cognitive reframing and perception. At the heart of the attitude-altitude connection lies cognitive reframing, the practice of consciously shifting the interpretation of events. Optimists perceive setbacks as temporary and specific, while pessimists view them as permanent and pervasive. Research in positive psychology shows that such interpretations influence motivation, perseverance, and well-being. By adopting an attitude that views challenges as stepping stones, individuals sustain effort, learn from failure, and remain open to novel solutions. 3.2. Self-efficacy and agency. Psychologist Albert Bandura's concept of self-efficacy, the belief in one's capacity to execute actions necessary for desired outcomes, aligns closely with Rohn's philosophy. A strong, positive attitude fosters self-efficacy. When you believe in your ability to learn, adapt, and overcome difficulties, you engage more fully in activities that build competence. That increased competence, in turn, raises your altitude. 3.3. Emotional contagion and social influence. Attitude not only affects individual behavior, but also radiates outward. Studies in organizational behavior demonstrate emotional contagion. Leaders' outlooks shape team morale, creativity, and performance. Rohn underscored the strategic importance of curating relationships. Surrounding oneself with positive, growth-oriented people amplifies one's own attitude and, consequently, collective altitude. Practical Strategies for Elevating Attitude and Altitude 4.1 Daily. Rituals and Mindset Conditioning. Rohn advocated daily self-education, reading, listening to motivational recordings, and journaling to reinforce empowering attitudes. Simple rituals like morning affirmations, "I am capable of growth," gratitude journaling, and visualization exercises prime the mind for opportunity. Over time, these practices rewire neural pathways, making positive interpretations the default responses. 4.2 Environment design and association. Don't blame the environment, Rohn cautioned, but also recognized its power. By intentionally designing surroundings, limiting exposure to negative news, seeking out mentors, and joining mastermind groups, individuals create ecosystems that sustain a high attitude and altitude. Physical space matters too. Tidy workspaces reflect and reinforce mental clarity and optimism. Rohn's approach to goal setting combined clarity, challenge, and celebration. Write down specific, measurable targets. Break them into daily tasks and review progress weekly. Sharing these goals with an accountability partner or coach amplifies commitment. Momentum built through small wins elevates attitude, further creating a virtuous cycle. Real-world applications, case studies, and anecdotes. 5.1 The Entrepreneur's Mindset. Consider Sarah, a small business owner facing stagnant sales. By shifting her attitude from fearing competition to viewing it as validation of market demand, she explored collaborative marketing, forging partnerships that boosted revenue by 30% in 6 months. Her new altitude reflected her openness to possibilities rather than her initial defensive posture. 5.2 Personal Resilience in Crisis. During the 2008 financial crisis, many professionals succumbed to fear and inertia. In contrast, some used the downturn to retool skills, launch side ventures, and emerge stronger. Their attitude, seeing crisis as opportunity, translated into altitude, career pivots, entrepreneurial success, and long-term security. 5.3 Leadership and Team Performance. At a mid-sized tech firm, a CEO noticed morale slipping amid rapid changes. Inspired by Rohn's principles, he initiated weekly success huddles where teams shared wins and lessons. The shift in collective attitude, from anxiety to shared purpose, led to a 20% increase in productivity and improved employee retention. Common pitfalls and how to overcome them. 6.1 Negative self-talk and limiting beliefs. Rohn warned against the parasites of negative self-talk. Identifying and challenging limiting beliefs, such as "I'm not good enough," is critical. Cognitive behavioral therapy techniques like thought records and evidence gathering help dismantle these beliefs and replace them with empowering narratives. 6.2 Surrounding yourself with naysayers. Even the most determined individual can be dragged down by pessimistic peers. Rohn famously advised regular association audits, evaluate top influences, reduce time with chronically negative individuals, and invest in mentorship relationships. 6.3 Complacency and plateau. Maintaining a high altitude over time requires continual attitude calibration, periodic reflection through journaling, mentoring sessions, and professional development. Prevents complacency and reignites growth orientation. Conclusion. Jim Rohn's enduring wisdom reminds us that while circumstances may be beyond our total control, our response to those circumstances lies firmly within our grasp. By consciously cultivating a positive, growth-oriented attitude, we set the trajectory for our personal and professional altitude through daily mindset practices, intentional association, and unwavering self-belief. Each of us can soar above limitations, achieve meaningful success, and, in turn, elevate those around us. After all, as Rohn so eloquently put it, the only thing worse than training your employees and having them leave is not training them and having them stay. In essence, nurture your attitude, and your altitude will follow.